Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back once again, or for the very first time, to the Farts and Crap Show, where today, as per usual, it's your host Danjo here with a brand new retro classic series for you guys, and today is the start of Castlevania Symphony of the Night Revisited, as chosen by the lovely channel members, which, more on that at the end of the video, but the short version is they choose all this series here on the channel. And yes, this is a revisited because I have done a series on this game before, which at the time I called my 200.6% walkthrough, which was okay for the time. I was kind of just doing the best with what I had, and that was back in 2021, so 5 years ago, and I've been meaning to redo this one for quite some time because I can now do this in much higher quality. So I did a lot of testing, and this is gonna be a little bit of a rant if you guys want to just like get to the game and stuff. I have a lot to talk about today, so I'll try to keep this brief. So I'm using RetroArch. This is the PS1 version because that's the version that I have, although depending on how the series goes, later I'm probably going to be looking at some other versions of the game. I don't have any experience with Saturn emulation, but I might look at that one. I'm pretty sure I have Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles, and there is a version of Symphony of the Night on that version that is unlockable, but that is basically the same as the version in Castlevania Requiem, which is the collection that they released in 2018. That is essentially the two unlockable versions of Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, which I did do Rondo of Blood on the channel also a number of years ago. So I've been meaning to redo that one as well. I will make sure that is an option in the next Retro Classics, or not Retro Classics, in the next Members' Choice poll, which there should be one going on right now if you guys are watching this around the time of release for August 2026. But again, more on that at the end of the video. So this is a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood, which is why I bring it up in the first place. And personally, I played this one years before I played Rondo of Blood, partially because it just initially did not release in North America. Initially, it came out on the PC Engine Super CD-ROM system. Is that what it was called? Yeah, the PC Engine Super CD-ROM system. Only in Japan, and it didn't release worldwide until that version on the Dracula X Chronicles. Some people count Dracula X for the Super Nintendo as the release of that game internationally. Dracula X in my book is a completely different game. It's kinda similar mostly to Rondo of Blood, but there are a ton of differences. And then Dracula X Chronicles came out in 2007 for the PSP. The original version came out a year later in 2008 for the Wii Virtual Console because they included certain TurboGrafx titles. That was in Japan, though. It came out in North America and PAL regions on the Wii's Virtual Console in 2010. So that was the first time the original version was re-released, like the TurboGrafx version, which in North America they called it TurboGrafx. In Japan, it was the PC Engine. But yeah, next time I redo, because I think when I did Rondo of Blood, I'm pretty sure it was the version that's on Requiem, which is fine if that's the only way you have access to the game. Personally, like when I redo Rondo of Blood, I will do the original version. Because I did pick it up on the Wii back in the day, and again, like, I'm pretty sure I have Dracula X Chronicles. But yeah, Symphony of the Night came out originally in March of 1997 in Japan, and then October of 1997 for North America. And the Saturn version came out about a year later in June of 98. And I never had a Saturn growing up, so I have no experience with that version of the game. But during the PS1 era, that was the time when I was still like renting a lot of games because, like, you know, Blockbuster was still a thing, and quite a few other stores like that would do video game rentals. And typically the PS1 selection was pretty good, so I got to try out a bunch of games, thankfully, that it didn't actually own. And it wasn't until years later, when the game was re-released on PSN for the PS3 and the PSP, that I finally had my own copy, albeit digital, but, you know, I still have it installed on my PS TV. So, yeah. And that version was fine. It was just emulating the PS1 version kind of poorly, honestly. But it was a way to play the original game. And, yeah, this is the Vania of Metroidvania. It was kind of the game that spawned tons and tons of different games, a whole genre, and was one of the direct influences for a lot of the action games of the early 2000s, and which evolved into like the Souls formula. So it's one of the most influential games of all time and one of my favorite games of all time. So I have been doing a ton of research and prep for this particular series. So I do hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah. And this series is going to be multiple playthroughs because, like, we are going to be looking at other versions of the game later. And we are going to be getting all the endings and everything. The main downside on the PS1 version is Maria is not playable. So she has one version that's a little bit different for the Saturn version of the game. However, in the Dracula X Chronicles, playable Maria has a completely different style of play, and she's younger, like more akin to how she appeared in Rondo of Blood. Which, yeah, initially when I played this game, I had no idea why Maria was looking for Richter. It's because of the events in Rondo of Blood. So, and I didn't mention this before, because I did attempt to record this episode already a couple of times, but I needed to make some adjustments. And so you guys aren't going to see that, but I didn't mention this before, but Rondo of Blood is kind of what Castlevania Nocturne is based on, the anime Netflix adaptation. So a lot of people are pretty excited for the next season of that, which I think got greenlit like immediately after Nocturne, because chronologically that should be covering essentially the era of this game. So, narratively, very cool. But you guys may have noticed, like visually, this is not 4x3. Um, there's a reason for that. This game uses a number of different aspect ratios, and initially they were kind of meant, like big air quotes on that, but meant to be squished to 4x3. However, that does mean you are stretching the pixels. So for the shaders that I'm using, which is kinda sort of a CRT emulation type of a thing, which, yeah, these are the other testing files. We are going to be starting with luck mode, by the way, for those of you who know what that is. That is essentially going to be our bad ending file. I don't remember exactly how that works, but I think you might... wait, can you get multiple endings on this single file? I don't remember if you can. I think it depends on which endings you're going for. But yeah, we're using a number of shaders which I have adjusted and personalized for this game, for this series. And initially they weren't doing so well in 4K, so I kind of changed some settings on my secondary display as well as within the NVIDIA app and RetroArch itself to have everything rendered at 1440p instead. And so, as to avoid any stretching or scaling that might happen, because that might look weird in the final thing, because the exactitude of what I was adjusting, like I was looking at the sub-pixel layout. So I didn't want any additional scaling or anything, and we're recording in the native RGB 8-bit, like everything matches on the display and the output settings and all that stuff. And of course, YouTube is going to convert it to probably VP9 or AV1, either one. Hopefully, it will retain the look and everything. I really, really hope so. If not, I could increase some settings, honestly, for like quality. It might be a bit more demanding and hopefully won't actually introduce slowdown. See how that goes. It'll probably just increase the file size. But for those of you who are interested, I am going to go over the settings, essentially. And yes, I know, the Symphony of the Night decomp projects and some of the recompilations that people are doing have been making great strides, and the PS1 version is mostly done, basically. So depending on, like, they have a long way to go at the time of recording. They're essentially not ready, but we're going to be looking at those other versions at the end of the series, so we might be looking at some of those, at least like the progress on those projects, like towards the end. So there's some time for those, but essentially, let's go ahead and get rid of this for a second. So, yes, I am using Swan Station, which is the RetroArch fork, or version of DuckStation, which is the best PS1 emulator by a pretty significant margin. And yeah, if you want to do the Uh, you may notice at the top of the screen there, it says Symphony of the Night.chd. For those of you who are unfamiliar, CHD is quite a useful conversion for a lot of PS1 games because it kind of optimizes the file system. Kind of, it's a bit faster than .bin if you're doing something like this, like preloading the CD-ROM image to RAM. So yeah, it may reduce hitching if you're running off a network share, the cost of greater startup time, and lockup on its preload. Right, right. But it usually does eliminate a lot of slowdown in games that exhibit it. So it is quite helpful. Um, Certain other PS1 emulators actually do require .chd to preload. I don't think Swan Station does anymore. I think you can even do this with .bin if you want to do it that way. But it also, the other benefit to CHD is it, what's the word? Compiles multi-track games into a single file, which is very, very nice. But yeah, we're going to be getting into like technical stuff for emulation. So yeah, if that sort of thing is not your tea, is not your tea, is not your cup of tea. That's what I meant. Okay, so the shaders I'm using, and I'm not going to go over every single one. So if you need to, go ahead and pause the video or whatever. But essentially, we're using 5 passes, and on the top 2 nearest and 2 times because we're doing native. What is it called? Resolution and 1:1 PAR. So PAR stands for pixel aspect ratio. So that's what I mean. It doesn't squish the image to 4:3. Everything that is rendered at its original aspect ratio and resolution. So we're not using upscaling, which would not matter anyway because it's a fully 2D game. Like internal resolution upscaling is pretty much just for fully 3D games. And, you know, it's just shader parameters is kind of how you fine tune things. So again, I'm not going to be going over every single thing here, but this is like fully customizable. Um, so yeah, if you want to copy my settings, go ahead. It's fine. I don't care. Um, or if you want to tweak things to your liking, like I'm not doing any curvature stuff because it's supposed to emulate like the CRT look. If I was gonna squish stuff to 4:3, like it might make a pretty convincing type of look, but I'm not a fan of like the curvature emulation stuff with the CRT filters. So yeah, not doing that. Which is also nice in RetroArch because if you want everything on that core to have those particular shader looks, you can just like save the preset as like a core preset. So it's like, oh, all PS1 stuff that I load is going to have this, which is not something I would ordinarily do for PlayStation 1. If it was Genesis or Super Nintendo, then yes. But for the most part, for my purposes, the only times I use RetroArch for PS1 stuff is for those fully 2D games. So I have access to those shaders. So for like Mega Man 8, Mega Man X4, you know, those kind of games. If it was Mega Man Legends, then yes, I'd be using internal resolution upscaling. But, or Tekken 3 or, you know, something that's mostly 3D. But what was I going to go over? Oh, the other core options, right? Again, I'm not going to go over every single thing here, but yeah, if you need to, go ahead and pause the video. Oh yeah, if you're on an NVIDIA GPU, by the way, Vulkan is typically going to give you better performance. It depends on your chipset and a bunch of other things. But yeah, typically with this kind of setup, I use Vulkan. And let's see, any other important ones that I wanted to bring up? Oh, right, GPXP, geometry correction. This is basically for mostly 3D games. If it's a fully 2D game, you can leave it off. This is the PAR thing. So sometimes people write it as 1-to-1 PAR or sometimes PAR 1-to-1. But yes, essentially square pixels. And yeah, Swan Station didn't used to have this option either, the shader pre-compilation thing, so that's actually pretty freaking cool. And port settings don't really matter, and typically for most PS1 games I do 16 sectors on the read ahead. A little bit of overclocking, typically between like 130 and 170. And a lot of these other things are basically just on a pre-game per game basis. This is another new setting. I say new like pretty loosely. I think it's been an option for almost a year now. But yeah, per frame audio batching. Pretty cool, makes most games sound better, typically. But yeah, those are pretty much the settings. So, I think we're good to start, I believe. So as I said before, we're going to be starting with luck mode and the bad ending, essentially, and then I don't remember how many endings there are offhand. But the last one we'll do on this version of the game is like the true ending, I think. Because from what I recall, I think there's a bad ending, a good ending, and a true ending. I think. Oh, also, a number of these episodes are inevitably going to get copyright claimed. I'm gonna do my best to not care and just like leave it, you know? It's better than to have like large sections of these videos just like with no audio whatsoever. Yeah. Do hope you guys enjoy. And let's see, what is the code? Oh, you know what? We can actually get rid of these other files. File delete, because I don't want this to get confusing. Yeah. Yep. Yep, I know. Okay, file select. And I'll start in the bottom left. Okay. Show it's X-X. There's also a bit of randomization when you start a new file. I don't remember if it's just in luck mode, but basically our stats are going to be garbage. How garbage is a little bit of a dice roll. So, also the game audio is going to be boosted throughout the series because the audio, you know, the music is fantastic. This is like one of my favorite OSTs of all time. But yeah, X-X exclamation V apostrophe Q. Yeah. Journey back to 1792 in the Transylvanian countryside of Romania. Oh, dude. I freaking love this OST. It's so good. And it's very interesting to me that they call it Bloodlines on the intro thing there. Dude, Richter is so jacked. Like, look at that, dude. It's like, his waist is tiny, but his torso and arms are, like, massive. Yeah, so, because Bloodlines was the name, at least in North America, of the Sega Genesis Castlevania game, which I don't remember the other name of that game, but this is just kind of strange, because this is not like, this is like prequel, kind of, like this isn't even from Rondo of Blood, like this is essentially like what was happening, like it's an intro, you know, like I don't think this isn't from Rondo of Blood at all. Yeah. Okay, why is my jump not working? Oh, right. Right, you have to like almost double tap, like it's pretty fast, which I don't think we need as many hearts. Actually don't remember how this works. I mean 67 will be plenty, but we don't want the cross. Essentially we want the holy water, which is on the leftmost candle stand, I believe. What do you call those? It's still a candle stand, right? When it's I mean, most of the time in Castlevania, people just refer to them as lamps. So, but anyway, we have some absolutely legendary voice acting about to happen, so.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you? No, it cannot be!
Alright, different aspect ratio. It was Richter Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter, who succeeded in finally ending the menace of Count Dracula, Lord of the Vampires, who had been brought back from the grave by the Dark Priest Shaft. However, one night 4 years later, under the glare of a full moon, Richter mysteriously vanished. With no idea of where to begin her search, Maria Renard set out to look for him. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, which is rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from out of the mist as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces were struggling for the soul of a man named Alucard, the very same Alucard who had teamed up with Trevor Belmont to battle his immortal father, Count Vlad Tepes Dracula. Alucard, in order to purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, had submerged his vampiric powers and entered into what was supposed to be an eternal slumber, but now he is awake and aware of the evil once again at work in his homeland. The time has once again come for the forces of good and evil to engage in their ancient battle. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who shall emerge victorious. Alright. The text crawl is a little bit too fast to do like a slow dramatic reading, but yeah, I tried to not speed it up like too much. Alright, we got 25 HP. That's pretty standard. 5 hearts. We have 1 MP. Okay. So Alucard does have a number of spells. And we can't use them yet because we don't have MP. So, for whatever reason, whenever you start a new file, it does revert to mono, which kind of sucks. So we're going to change that to stereo. And stereo. And spoilers. Okay, so we do have a neutron bomb. Cool. That'll help here in a little bit, because we are not going to be keeping this equipment. There is a glitch in the game to like keep it, but we're not going to be doing that. And we don't have any of our powers. Luck mode does have its benefits, like you do start with absolute shit stats, but the luck stat does augment drop rates. I'm just taking out Mermen because it's a pretty fast way to level up right here. And yeah, you gotta watch out for the water. So we're gonna come back there in a sec. I love this soundtrack. Alright, so we're going to use that neutron bomb. Just got to get a bunch of these guys on screen at once. Come on. Oh, it's a nice chunk of experience. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Okay, can we use? Yes, we can. Yeah, once you can use Dark Metamorphosis, you're pretty much in business. Come on, we gotta be close. Really? 192? I mean, we're at level 5. That should be fine. Oh. And yeah, while it is a little bit faster to use like the backdash everywhere, I don't really like playing the game that way. So this is where we lose all of our stuff. Oh right, you can sort. We're not doing that. And triangle is back. I kind of forgot about that. Alright, so it doesn't really matter if we do this or not, I don't think, but I'm just gonna unequip the stuff we're gonna lose anyway. Thankfully, you do get to keep the lapis lazuli and any other pickups that you acquired along the way, so the turkey and the pot roast, we are keeping those. Everything else is gonna get stolen, but even with... Oh, and the lapis, like we keep this. So our strength is at 5. That's actually not bad. I think that's part of the randomization is your starting stats as well. So we did get a little higher concentration, intelligence, and strength than like the lower limit. So that's actually very useful, and I'll explain more about that here in a minute. But...
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Still befriending mortals. I'll not ask you to return to our side, but I demand you cease your attack.
I will not.
You shall regret those words. We will meet again. What?
So yeah. Utter brutality. Death just comes along and steals all your shit. Just like in real life, actually. But yeah, it's kind of cool. So after you pull off a spell, it actually just shows in your spell list, which is kind of useful. So most of them I don't use frequently, but Dark Metamorphosis is fantastic. It does only work on enemies that bleed, so for like skeletons and stuff, it doesn't work. And like living armors and stuff like that, it has to be an organic enemy. So And yeah, another thing I didn't know until recently, you can actually kick. So it's just like diagonal down, like while you're jumping. It's kind of cool. Like there are a lot of secrets in the game, which we're just gonna get this one now because we can. Why not? But we are going to get some weapons, we are going to get some equipment in pretty short order. And the one thing I want to do before the end of this episode is we're going to get the weapon that is essentially going to carry us through a lot of the early game. And that is called the Basilard. So there are 2 drops the game gives you that are guaranteed. So that's from this guy. You get a sword, and the guy above, which we can't see right now. Okay, so we got the short sword, which hopefully, yep, we can use effectively. So this is another thing the game doesn't really tell you, or it's not visible anywhere. But essentially all equipment, I think all equipment, I don't know if this applies to armor and accessories and stuff, but all weapons have a requirement stat. So if you think like Elden Ring or like Dark Souls, that type of thing, it's the same thing. So if you don't have sufficient whatever the hidden stat is, like you can't use the weapon at its full potential, so you might see like a negative stat, especially with luck mode, with your starting stats being so low. That's why when we still had our good equipment, I was like, yeah, we're going to take out a few enemies, get a few levels, that way we can actually get some damage out of some of these shitty early weapons that you get. So the short sword is actually kind of goated. It's not bad. Like, it's decently fast. And it's got range. Of course, we can't get this yet. The other thing, like the main stat for getting the 200.6% like completion is the rooms. So essentially by default you have your map, and that's kind of the main thing in the game, is like explore the entire map. So once you have every room in the game, your file will say 200.6%. So that's not bad. He only took 4 hits. But yeah, the red rust. Yeah, so we don't even have the stat requirements for the red rust, which is why it's showing less attack power. Two-handed swords in this game are typically garbage in my book. They have a little bit more range than one-handed swords, but yeah, we don't have the stat requirements for it, so it's going to be 3 attack power as opposed to 7. Now, if you had the stat requirements, the red rust does do a little bit more damage, but we don't. So, and honestly, it's not worth it anyway, even if you had the stat requirements, because the attack speed is so much slower. Like, it is so slow. Like, you get a little bit of attack speed if you get the timing right, but like, it's a lot slower. Also, most weapons have like a special move, so that's... I think you can only pull it off if you have the stat requirements for that weapon. But yeah, it's typically like down, quarter circle, forward attack. And save points are your best friend in this game because they heal you However, they do not restore your hearts. So our max hearts are 18 right now. We have 17, and it's just going to stay at 17. So, but it does save your progress in case you die, and it does restore your HP. So, and it looks like the short sword does not have a special attack. So yeah, Cube of Zoe, fantastic. Now we can get drops from lamps that we destroy. So that's going to be very, very helpful. This is another thing Konami was like very proud of at the time, which the game has CD audio, compact disc. So yeah, the audio is very good. Alright, and this part can be super tricky, but I'm hoping we don't die here. That guy is a problem. He will jump down sometimes. But we can also use the short sword at its full potential, so... Come on, jump down, dude. It's not as bad as trying to do this. There he goes. Alright. Okay, so now we're on Easy Street. There we go. Hide Curus, which don't have any defense right now. But now it's 1, so a little bit more defense, and we're gonna get one more defensive item here in a sec. Oh, these guys, the red skeletons, they also don't die. Like, you can put them down for a sec, but you can't actually, like, defeat them. There we go. So there we go. That's the other defensive item. So typically I don't use shields, but I'm pretty sure shields have passive defense increase. I think. But you know what? We could maybe test that a little bit. Not right now, because I don't want to take intentional damage when we can't heal, because the only enemies around here are inorganic, so we can't use Dark Metamorphosis to get our health back. But we do have a save point. So I'm gonna do that here in a sec. Let's drop them. There we go. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so as soon as this comes down, you want to jump. Perfect. First time. Okay, so that can sometimes be tricky to nail that jump just right. Ordinarily, you would have to go all the way around, which is like after the boss fight, to use the cannon to blow the wall to grab this. And that's the weapon I was talking about. Because short sword is pretty good. It's like decently fast. But the Basilard, which is only 1 less attack power, this thing is stupid fast. So yeah, attack speed more than makes up for it. So for example, this guy, well, that doesn't count. That was a 1-hit KO. Yeah, it's pretty great. I think it one-shotted him because, like, crits are a thing in this game, and I think they're based on luck. So again, it's luck mode kind of counterbalancing for having lower, shittier stats. So let's go ahead and save. So let's figure that out right now, because it's going to be a lot more apparent since we don't have a lot of defense. Just the difference between 2 and 1. So let's see how much damage we take from these guys. 6. Okay. Now let's unequip the shield. 7. Okay. So the passive defense is a thing with shields. So another great reason not to use two-handed weapons. So... Alright, so let's go ahead and save again to get our health back, because otherwise that's not a thing. You do want to hold on to at least one-handed sword, though, because the one-handed swords can do something the daggers cannot. And that is attack downward. So if you're in a room, for example, where there's a breakable floor, you need to crouch, hold diagonal down forward, and attack. And that way you can actually hit the floor. Because daggers are too short, you just can't do that kind of thing. Like, even if you do the same input, it just attacks forward. So, and there is a breakable floor coming up pretty soon with something very much worthwhile. So, let's see, did we go? We did go over there, okay. Okay, and our first sub-weapon, which is one of my favorites, the throwing daggers. So these things are great because they cover the entire screen and you can spam them. So this is where we want to switch to short sword. It's right here. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how this performs. Like, it's occasionally has a little bit of slowdown, but it was honestly a lot worse on 4K. So this is mostly smooth. Like, and for how good it looks visually, like, it is such a good trade-off. And it still feels like very responsive. So, like, because of the stutter and stuff, before I was getting a little bit of input lag. So, that is very nice. Well, that was a crit. But yeah, we're gonna get one more piece of equipment. What a dick. And that's the one. And yeah, I don't remember where, like, every single weapon is and shit like that, but I've done this intro part, like, a number of times recently, so I'm a lot more familiar with, like, the first, like, hour of the game than the rest of it. Well made, but shabby looking. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And from what I remember, I think for the bad ending, I think the only thing we need is transformation? Is that what it is? Damn, dude. Just go down already. And this is the last save point before the boss fight. So... what is our heart max right now? Is it 23? Yeah, it's at 23. Okay, cool. Alright. And for the first boss, which we are basically right there. This is a different sub-weapon, so I would... Yeah, it's the axe, so I would avoid that, honestly. The throwing knives / throwing daggers, whatever you want to call them, are way better for this fight. Like, way better. But I do have to get going, so I think that's going to do it for today. Yeah, so we'll do the boss fight next time. But yeah, that's yeah, that tracks 23 minutes because we did the intro stuff for a while and we're just under an hour, so yeah, that tracks. Cool. All right. And oh, right, so while this is running on RetroArch and stuff, and technically we could cheat and use like save states and stuff, I'm not going to use save states. I will use them as a secondary, like in between episodes, just because I always double save, but in this game you can't really double save, just in case something happens, like I like to have it as a secondary. But yeah, we're not going to use save scumming, like with save states. That's just kind of defeats the purpose. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, folks. So thank y'all for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Just going to turn this down a little bit because it is time for the outro. Special thanks, updates, all that jazz. And a very special thank you going out to the amazing people who helped make it possible, the current Farts and Crap Show members, which at the time of recording is Novels Draconis, Aaron Schick, Outler, Nameless, and 97 Johnny Boy, who has an excellent channel, by the way. Definitely check that out. And thank you all so very much for choosing to support the show a bit more directly via channel membership. It vastly helps out. Very much appreciate it, and it is very much optional. So you guys are extra awesome for doing so. And if you want to be incredibly awesome like these amazing people and get in on all those membership benefits, check out that join button down below. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's no join button for you. That can happen for various reasons, but there's also a link in the description that talks about becoming a channel member that does the same thing. But yeah, basically membership tiers start at $3 a month. That's roughly 10 cents a day. Gets you into all the basic stuff, including getting to vote in the series that get made here on the channel via the members' choice polls. It's a thing we do once a month for a full week over on the membership tab, and that is how all of the series get decided. So, if you guys want to get in on that, as I mentioned before, we do have one going on right now. If you guys are watching this in August of 2026, and that was posted on the 24th, and it will be running until the end of the month. And that is deciding the series to follow this one. So another Retro Classic series, and if we hit 10 channel members again before that one starts, that whole series will be ad-free. And one of those options will definitely be Rondo of Blood. But, if you missed the voting period, though, for that Members' Choice Poll or any of the previous ones, I believe the one for August is the 64th, and they do stay up and they do stay open even after the voting period, and we have a master list of every Members' Choice Poll ever. So what I'm getting at is even if you're just a member for 1 month, you could vote on all of them, and you're still going to be influencing the content that gets made here for quite some time because that retroactive input on previous polls is considered for future ones. This is all, however, an approximation of future announcements from the past. Gonna take a quick drink of water. Because I've been talking a lot today. So if you want all the announcements as they happen and the bell doesn't work for you, I gotcha, the bell does not work for me. So there are 4 other ways you can stay up to date. We have the post tab here on the channel, the Farts and Crap Show Twitter, the Bluesky, and the Discord. I post on all 4 whenever there's an announcement, so regardless of which one of those works for you, you can stay up to date, and links are down in the description, also on the channel banner, but that is going to do it for today. So, thank you all so much for being here, guys. Do hope you enjoyed, and you're looking forward to the rest of the series, which, if you do want to get caught up on this series or any of the previous ones, playlists for those should be popping up right about now. But until next time, take care, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.